I think that people are possessed by ideas that aren't theirs. And they're personalities that aren't theirs. And that's the great psychoanalytic insight. It's not ideas, it's personalities. It's way worse than ideas. And some of those personalities might be the ones that are associated with the idea that freedom is found in maximizing hedonistic moment-to-moment pleasure or something like that, which sounds like freedom. Like for me, one of the things that I suggest to people is that they watch themselves as if they do not understand who they are or what they're ruled by. And then notice those times when they're where they should be. And that's back to our discussion about meaning rather than happiness. It's like you'll see there are times that in your life where you're somewhere or you've done something and all of a sudden you're together. You're where you should be. Your conscience is not disturbing you. You're not proud of what you did, because pride is the wrong term, but you understand deeply that you've done something that you should have done. You might not understand why. You might not even understand what it is. But the study of that can help elucidate the difference between what actually constitutes you, which is a very difficult thing to discover, and what constitutes the accretion that characterizes you because of the, well, let's say your intense proclivity for socialized mimicry. And so, you know, I don't mean you personally, but people are amalgams of everything they've seen and everything every person they've watched. Yes, and everything they've read. And to integrate that and to find the truth that constitutes that integration is an incredibly difficult endeavor. And one of the reasons why in 12 Rules for Life, for example, I suggested that people try to tell the truth or at least don't lie, is because one of the ways, apart from pursuing what appears to you to be meaningful, one of the ways of escaping from that possession by the kind of ideology that you're describing, which is it's like an unconscious of unidentified axioms. It's something like that, even though they take personified form. They're like personalities, is to stop saying things you know not to be true. It's a nice pathway forward. The original rule was tell the truth. And I thought, no, that's not any good, because you're so biased and limited and ignorant and possessed that you don't know what the truth is. And so you can't be asked to tell it. But everyone does have the experience of being about to say or do something that they know by their own, they know as deeply as they can know anything about themselves, that utterance or action is wrong, and they still do it. Now, my suggestion is try to stop doing that. And one of the consequences, well, you can try in small ways, like you might not be able to manage it in big ways, but now and then, you know, you're tempted to do something that you know to be wrong, and you could not do it. And if you practice that, you get better and better at not doing it, and that means you lie less, and you take the easy route out less, and you pursue hedonic pleasures that cost you in the future less. You start to straighten yourself out. You take the beam out of your eye. That's essentially what you're doing. And over time, you have some modicum of hope that your vision will clear up and you'll be able to see the proper pathway forward. And that's part of the process of redemption. And it seems to me to be in your grasp. You're capable of doing that. You have a conscience. It does inform you from time to time correctly about the difference between good and evil, the consequence, the knowledge, the consequence of the fall that you described, which I think you described in very eloquent terms, and that you can slowly make your way back to the straight and narrow path that's characterized by maximal meaning, but also, see, this instinct of meaning is a sophisticated one. It's not that I'm making a case for the individual, like Ayn Rand makes a case for the individual. That's not it. I'm making a case for individual responsibility. That's not the same thing. It's like there is something that's good for you, but it has to also be good for your family. If it's just good for you, that's not good enough. And if it's good for you and your family and it's not good for society, then that's not good enough either. And so the responsibility is to find a pathway that balances these things in a harmonious manner. It's like I got a lot of this thinking from Jean Piaget and his idea of equilibrated states, right? Is you're attempting to find something like a game that everyone is willing to play that can be played in an iterative manner and not degenerate. Well, hopefully actually ascend, if that's possible, hopefully become a better and better game across time. And I do believe that you can do that. I do believe that you can do that if you're guided by truth, and I do believe that the pathway to that is the phenomenology of meaning. And then the secondary consequence of that is, if you do that, now and then you might be happy. And then you should be profoundly grateful, because happiness, as we already agreed upon, is something like a grace.
What basically, sorry.